Mikayla Nogueira. You know her, you love her. Well, actually, you probably don't love her. Mikayla's basically made a name for herself on TikTok the past few years for being one of the most controversial figures in like the beauty space in general. From allegedly using fake eyelashes in her mascara commercial to basically complaining about sitting down and having to make videos like it was a full-time job.
Try being an influencer for a day. Try it.
Hi everybody, my name is Justin Jordan, and today we're going to be diving headfirst into all of the insane and wacky controversies of Mikayla Nogueira and discussing how I feel like her overall presence online really is a good example of just the crumbling of the makeup space and the beauty space as a whole in the past few years. But real first, before we get too far into everything, I just wanted to say thank you all so much. We just hit 6K, and I made a community post, but I honestly really can't express how grateful I am that 6,000 people hit that subscribe button. Still processing that. Thank you so much. But let's just get right into everything about Mikayla, because there's a lot to discuss today. So I truly feel like a lot of the personalities and kind of at least the level of semi-honesty and loyalty to your audience that used to exist in the beauty space has totally been erased in the last few years. And it's just totally morphed into this idea that if somebody sponsors you, if a product supports you, that you have to support that product 100%. You can't say anything negative about that product. Even when it gets to the point of lying to your audience, a product can be good on its own. The fact that you're allegedly lying about the product to make it look better, I feel like actually ends up backfiring. Perfect segue into Mikayla's first controversy, which was Lashgate. Well, I don't know if it was her first controversy, but it was one of the big ones as it pertains to what people know her for. On January 24th, 2023, Mikayla would make a sponsored post advertising the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara, making some really bold claims about it, it's just changed her life.
Look how long and lengthened my lashes look.
This literally just changed my life. This looks like false. This is how? What? It's this L'Oreal telescopic lift. Look at the wand. Okay, so basically I'm taking the curved side and I'm going root to tip and I'm starting to coat the lashes. And then once you've done that, you flip the brush to the side and you use the hook comb to basically separate. This is one coat. Okay, I'm gonna add a second. Look at the length. Do you see that? I am speechless, and I'm not sure anyone's gonna ever be able to compete with this mascara.
Basically acting like this product had cured all diseases on Earth and just ended world poverty or something. And in the video, a lot of people took notice that there's a pretty visible and obvious cut between her putting on the mascara and the results that she's claiming, and also the fact that the volume of her lashes kind of extended to a point where people this does not look like something a regular mascara could do. So people were saying that she had used fake eyelashes to basically lie about how the product had done on her face. And some people even took it a step further and said that she had used a filter instead of lashes.
Mikayla was not wearing fake lashes, and I'm gonna prove it to you. Now hear me out, here's the before, and here's the after. Side by side, you can see that her skin is way smoother in the after photo. So I don't think she was wearing falsies, I think she had a filter on. Literally, look at this filter. It looks like I have false lashes on. And here's my lashes without the filter on. The reason I think she felt so confident saying she didn't have falsies on is because technically she didn't. So what do you think?
And given what we're gonna get into later about Mikayla and filters, I could see her using filters, but at the same time, I really think the lashes is most likely more practical. It doesn't even have to be a full set, in my opinion. She could have just took a few individual lash clusters and just put them on, you know what I mean? And there's, in my opinion, no doubt in my mind that there was a filter, there was some sort of accentuating thing used. I don't know if I wasn't on my tee with the research, but I couldn't find anything of her really addressing the situation in detail as it pertains to whether or not she was lying. And I could see a reason why she wouldn't, because in my personal opinion, she may have actually broke the law here, because it's literally illegal to lie about an advertisement. You cannot sit here and say that a product did something that it didn't do in an advertisement, and this was a sponsored post. So yeah, that could have legal consequences if she were to just come out and say that, oh, I lied about this. But like I was saying earlier, it gets back to this point where like Mikayla and some of like the newer kind of TikTok creators get into this very money-driven attitude, very money-driven mindset where it's like, I have to advertise this product at all costs. I have to get these sponsors at all costs. I feel like a lot of like audience loyalty has been lost, if that makes sense. Yes, there were probably cases of like this stuff happening before, like, oh, maybe someone lied about like loving the product or using a product like all the time. But like to the point where it gets to like blatantly just doing a fake advertisement, like that would be a major sticking point, a major controversy. And obviously it was still very controversial for Mikayla. I feel like in the modern day, a lot of this idea that of like audience loyalty has been stripped for like brand loyalty. How can I make more sales and how can I get more brands to sponsor me? How can I be more palatable to brands? And I really think that is a negative development in this whole, because not only is it totally insane to me that you are going to just take your audience for granted. Your audience who has given you all of this fame. A lot of people, in my opinion, get to this like level of success and level of like clout, and they just totally forget that the audience are the reason why you're there, why you're at this level. Yes, you made the content, but if you didn't have the audience tuning into you, and like, side note, but I really do feel like there should have been more consequences for this type of stuff. Like our lawmakers literally are so behind when it comes to like internet influencer stuff because like, I don't know, I feel like if a major corporation had like ran an ad and it had been proven that they were lying, this would be a FTC investigation, FTC violation. And there's so many cases of people doing stuff like this, not like just lying, but like also just not disclosing that something's an advertisement, basically doing ads for like in a regular video, not saying, oh, this is sponsored post, and that's not allowed either. So it's like, we need y'all to catch up, okay? And we're going down another layer on this little iceberg into something that you'll probably notice first about Mikayla, her very thick, raspy Boston accent. And like, I really feel like it's low-key insulting to even consider this a Boston accent. Call me wrong, I mean, maybe some people talk like this in real life, but like, as someone who literally has been to Boston, I'm not saying I'm like a Boston expert or whatever, but like literally never heard anybody speak like this. There is a Boston accent, but I feel like this is not that, or this is that like just drummed up to this caricature level to the point where it's actually low-key kind of insulting. But would it be a shock if I told you that this accent might be another lie? Here's a video just compiling a lot of like her accents and like what she claims she speaks like on a regular basis.
Getting ready to go to Jersey for the first time. How have I lived on the East Coast my whole life and I've never been to New Jersey? I'm gonna be a little cosmetic chemist for a second.
And now compare this to a clip that was found like more recently of her before she kind of got to this level of internet fame.
Hi, it's OL Mikayla here, and I am standing in the Fisher Student Center, one of the best buildings on campus. I actually work here at the Information Center, so I'm sure you'll be seeing me around, but this is one of my favorite buildings. You can come here to hang out with your friends.
This was for a school, and some people go back and forth in the comments about this. You can see that video and you can say like, that is not the same accent. It just seems like that's not how she talks. And in the comments, I did see some people saying, oh, that's her code switching. That's her doing her business casual voice. Okay, here's another video of her just speaking not with that insanely like kind of caricature accent. So why would she be doing a business casual voice in a video where she's discussing her skincare journey on her page?
$275 foundation, and it's the wrong shade that I currently use, and this is the Zote soap. Waiting for. Today I'm going to be talking about my skincare journey. It has not been easy. You're going to take the sponge with the hyaluronic and a little bit of foundation and press on the powder that
I feel like there is a level of like people who are just ready to defend her for anything. Like, why are you sitting here in the comments basically like, oh, she's just code switching? I was just really, I guess, surprised to see that there was this level of like rabid, like, how dare you come for my fave Mikayla? I don't think this is like, again, a big deal on its own necessarily, but like when you connect it to like Lashgate, it kind of connects to like this wider point that I'm trying to make as well, where it comes to the fact that like as beauty and like just generally content as a whole goes to more short form content type of beat, like TikToks or Reels or Shorts that are 60 seconds, very punchy. People aren't going to sit there and listen to you or have that time to connect to you on a personality basis. So there is this new trend where people are basically being very outrageous, very bombastic, and like not necessarily like loud or anything, but just very outrageous for attention of any sort. And I truly think this has played a massive role in like the reshaping of beauty content and the reshaping of like influencer content as a whole. Like TikTokers have come up where their whole gig is using 5 pumps of foundation, which we obviously know that they don't use to get that final result that actually looks good. Like if you're using 5 pumps of foundation, your face is literally going to look like someone smashed a pie into it. It's not going to look like you came out of like Vogue or something. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when coming the meta, and she just kind of took that and said, give me my flowers, give me my million followers, give me my PR deals and my free PR, and we'll get into that PR because I have so much to talk about as it pertains to like just the rise of like insane PR packages and insane and outrageous kind of like the wastefulness of it all is actually really crazy to me. I feel like we would be neglecting a lot if we didn't talk about Mikayla's try being an influencer for it.
Every single day, I get up at 6 a.m. I spend about 5 to 6 hours filming video content. I spend a few hours editing that video content. Then I have to work on my other social media profiles, whatever it may be, Instagram, whatever. I'm in meetings from 12 to 5. I literally just finished work and it's 5:19. Try being an influencer for a day. Try it. Because the people who say it's easy are so far out of their minds, try it for a day. It is not for everybody. In fact, it's for a very small handful of people who can actually do this job. You do not want to have this job.
So I don't know the full context about this, but she makes a lot of videos where she'll kind of somewhat be real and kind of complain about something or say she's struggling, which, you know, I'm not saying is like a bad thing, but like, again, like, I think it's important to think about who is watching this. Like people who are working 40-hour weeks, people who are working customer service, people who are nurses are watching this content and seeing you complain about having to sit down and film a video. While that might be, you know, a problem for you, while that might be very difficult for you personally, like complain about that to your friends. Like don't sit here and try to sit and act like your life is the hardest thing, but sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Here's the video. And this is just really just so out of touch to the point where it's like insanity to me. Like complaining about having to actually do something when that thing is filming videos on your phone. And yes, I know editing can be annoying or whatever, but like, again, you signed up for this. You're getting the privilege of getting all these PR packages, of getting free trips, of getting free wedding. I think you're getting all these perks. Your job is filming content, which is literally a dream for like so many people. And you're sitting here complaining about that. I hate to break it to you, girl, but people work actual jobs. I'm not trying to demean like, you know, influencing as a thing. Like, yes, you can be an influencer, whatever, but like try being a nurse for a day. Try being a retail worker for a day. Being paid minimum wage to basically be a punching bag for any customer who comes in and has a bad day. We don't have to imagine what it's like to, you know, actually have to wake up in the morning and go clock in. Like, people don't actually have to imagine that. People live that, Mikayla. I'm not saying that you can't feel burnt out. I'm not saying that you can't feel upset, but I'm saying that we kind of have to remember the wider context and the audience that is going to be watching this and the experiences that they have. Like on an individual level, we might think that our problems are like the worst thing in the world, and like that's not necessarily true, especially like as an influencer. I feel like there is really a point that of no return for a lot of these people where it's like they get to this level of fame, level of wealth, level of success. I don't know if something unplugs in your brain and you're just like, you just can't relate to an average person anymore because you are just this figure. You take your own experiences as like the hardest thing in the world. And like, I guess that is kind of a human trait sometimes, but like, again, if you make this video, expect that people are going to be upset because people have, you know, actual jobs. Like, and it was just really funny to see that she was like, I had to wake up, you know, in the morning and I didn't get done till 6 or I think she said like 4 or 5 p.m. And it's like, girl, there are some people who clock in, like nurses, doctors who clock in and for like 12-hour shifts. Read the room. Please read the room. Because the room, we are struggling. Rent is $2,000 a month, okay? People are paying like $12 for eggs. And y'all are sitting here complaining about having to film a video and get like paid like $1,000 for like a little TikTok. This is another thing that I'm gonna have to get into. I saw a lot of comments like, oh my God, y'all are bullying her, y'all are beating her up while she's down. Because Mikayla, another thing that she'll do is talk about her mental health struggles, talk about how she is struggling, and I think that is fine to post, that is valid to post, but controversial, hot, spicy take here. Having like mental health issues and struggling does not magically validate everything you say or do. Like there is still an objective truth, and I'm not saying that it's not important to, be sensitive. I'm not saying that we should be like bullying Mikayla or anything, right? But criticism and like constructive criticism or like just saying like this is out of touch, I don't think that's bullying. I don't think that's rude. I don't think that is something that should be stopped because someone is struggling necessarily. Like, again, I think having that sensitivity and being like, hey, like I know you're going through a rough time. But again, if you're an internet figure and your entire career is posting online and having people talk about you online, I think there should be this level of expectation that people are going to talk about you online, even if you're going through something, which sucks, right? But again, you kind of sign up for this and you kind of get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year or millions a year to do this. And kind of going back here, I feel like a lot of people use mental health as a blanket get out of jail free pass. Like, have y'all seen those TikToks that are like, my roommate, when I tell them that they have to wash the dishes and they basically tell me that like, oh, you're being a really horrific person. It gets to a point where people start to use it as a blanket get out of jail free pass of not having to take any accountability or address the fact that like you are having an impact on other people. Like if you're sitting here yelling at somebody like for bed rotting for a day and like it's not impacting you, that's a different story. But again, like if somebody's posting stuff, if somebody's whole career is being an internet figure and like you're like, oh, how dare you bully them? How dare you do this? As someone who has had mental health struggles like many people have, I think it's important that we remember that like we're also human. Like nobody's perfect. I'm not saying you have to be a perfect person, but like if somebody comes in my comments and it's like, oh, I hated your video, I think it's really wrong for me to be like, I'm just really going through a really hard mental health moment. How dare you criticize me in any way, shape, or form? This is disgusting. Like, criticism still exists, especially when you're an internet figure online, posting online. Like, people are gonna have their opinions. I just think it also really sets a dangerous precedent because there are a lot of cases where people are doing horrible, horrible things. Not saying it's Mikayla. People do horrible things and, like, we'll sit here and try to be like, well, I was just going through a really tough mental health moment. And it's like, girl, I know you were going through a tough mental health moment, but you also caused a lot of harm to other people external to you. Again, like more broadly, not talking about Mikayla here. I think it's just a really bad trend that I've been seeing of people dodging or making it so that nobody can be held accountable because they say they are struggling. And like, again, compassion and being kind and being respectful about things I think is good. But again, this is the internet. So unfortunately, not everybody's going to be compassionate or respectful or charitable to everybody. And you kind of made your bed when you were like, oh, I want to be an influencer. I think it would really be a disservice to talk about Mikayla without at least touching about the rise of overconsumption and the kind of brand-heavy world that influencing has become. Can we talk about how insane it is that we live in a world where companies are prioritizing influencers over their own consumers to the point where they're sending them hundreds of bots? Like, that looks like a warehouse behind Mikayla. And we're getting scraps. I want somebody to name me the last time a major, like, or one of these, like, cute, makeup products or companies have made, like, a big deal about, supporting their customers and actually giving their customers or giving back to the community. Give those to, like, teachers. Give those to somebody. And also, like, these companies need to read the room. It's not just the influencers. Like, yes, the influencers play a big role. Like, a lot of them are not necessarily reading the room and seeing that a lot of people are struggling economically, financially right now. But like these companies, I don't know if the boardroom is just filled with like 50-year-old men who think that this is what people want, that people want to see these influencers get all these products. It's just really insane. And I'm glad that Mikayla talks about how she's giving away this stuff to like her audience, which I think is good, like, because otherwise a lot of this stuff seems like it would just rot away in her like house. Like the fact that these companies are just willing to send these hundreds of boxes, with the idea that maybe one day she'll make a video about it, and like there's no way she's gonna make videos about all these products. Wouldn't it just be so much less of a headache to just do giveaways through these influencers if you wanted to do something like that? Like if you wanted to still partner with them and, you know, advertise through them. Hey, I'm doing a giveaway with XYZ. Here, I'll send these out to you if you know, comment or something. Like, wouldn't that, why is it that these influencers are just getting like these massive boxes of stuff that they're not gonna actually use or touch at all? Especially given the fact that like there is just so much pollution. Like our planet is polluted, and like this stuff is literally like, no shade, not Mikayla, I guess, but a lot of these influencers might just throw this stuff away, unfortunately. Like if there's someone who just got tired of having all this stuff in their house, they're just gonna throw that stuff away in the landfill. I don't really like this whole like PR world that we live in, but like just do a giveaway. And it just really upsets me about modern influencer culture as a whole, and it's kind of turned me off of like a lot of creators. I might have necessarily been like the biggest consumer for like beauty YouTube, but I really liked old YouTube and like, you know, the level of personality and stuff that played into it. And like when that was into play, like I was more likely to buy something from someone that I actually trust, from somebody that I actually like, you know, feel like actually uses these products. Like, so I feel like, again, it's kind of backfiring in a way, because it's like, why would I want to buy your product because you gave an influencer something? Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't motivate me. That doesn't seem like a big draw to like buying stuff. And I made a whole video about Tarte and kind of their whole like, because they are actually really like, that company, it really makes me mad. And also the fact that these companies are willing to send this much product and give away this much money and like set aside this in the budget, but like if their employees ask for a raise, it's, oh, no. Well, how about you do more work? Like, oh, okay. And this is going to be a longer conversation, but we have to talk about the alleged use of filters by Mikayla and even like more recent serious topics that have come up as it pertains to Mikayla. So for a long time, people have been calling out Mikayla for what they say is her use of filters, and kind of like some, back to what we were saying about Lashgate, some people said that she was even using filters during Lashgate. And you might actually hear a really charitable take from me, because honestly, the modern landscape and the modern culture that we live in, I think is really harmful, and like encourages a lot of people to think that they either have to use filters or get surgery to change their appearance in some way, especially women. The way that the commodification of beauty and beauty standards has been so evil and so wicked and harmful, because it's like, okay, get a surgery to look like this. Oh, you got that surgery? I'm sorry, this surgery is actually in now, so you gotta go back to the clinic, get a new surgery, and by the time you're done healing, there's probably a new beauty trend out there, and people are saying that the body type that you modified yourself to have is now ugly, apparently. So it's like, I feel like women really can't win, unfortunately, when it comes to these standards. I understand where Mikayla is coming from and maybe feeling that she had to use these filters, maybe having insecurities about how she looked naturally to the point where she felt like she had to use filters. And to her credit, again, I feel like the internet does kind of sometimes get into the state of like obsessive, really like screening behavior, because I saw a lot of people were like zoom in at 13, you can see the filter twitch on her eye. You can see this XYZ, constantly zooming in on photos, constantly doing like this CSI analysis of somebody to see if they're using a filter and try to like expose them. I don't think that's the most productive behavior or productive thing that we should be doing right now. But I also have to say that I can see like where the criticism is coming from as it pertains in this situation, because it's like, okay, while there is a lot of pressure to look better or change your overall look, it also is not exactly, you know, the best thing to sit here and kind of, like people are saying that she's kind of perpetuating these standards by using filters, possibly making like younger viewers who may not know that that is not necessarily like how she may naturally look, to have these like standards, or also get the criticism of like, if she's advertising a product and using a filter at the same time, it is low-key a lie in a way. That might not necessarily be how the product 100% looks on her, and could also give consumers and people who might want to buy this product based on how she may present in the video a false interpretation of what the product actually looks like. And I think that is also a good point, and it continues to perpetuate the system of unrealistic standards. And it's really complex, honestly, because I think in this situation there is a balance to be stricken where like I think that you can criticize these people for using filters, but I think that you also have to take into account that they may be feeling like the impacts of society basically telling people that, especially women, that they're ugly unless they look a certain way or present a certain way, and that like maybe they were getting hate comments, maybe they were insecure themselves. So I don't think it's wrong to also criticize people because it's like you're also in a way perpetuating those same standards against other people and maybe even possibly, doing false advertising practices if you're using those filters while doing an ad. Sorry, not to be on the fence here, but like I think striking on the fence in between those two is like a good scenario. You might disagree with me. That's fine. I think that like it's important to have compassion for these people as to why they may use these filters, but also not necessarily letting them get away with it, if it makes sense. Like, but not being nasty or, negative or rude in like the criticism, because it's important to like criticism should be allowed. I'm not saying like never say anything about these people because she felt really insecure. Falling to that pitfall of like, oh, because someone was struggling, I cannot criticize them at all in any way, shape, or form, which I think is also not really a productive thing to do. So like, yeah, striking that balance and kind of making sure not to overly shame or be very rude to these people in your criticism of that. But again, like, I'm not the arbiter of free speech. People are probably going to be nasty and rude anyways. Like, this is the internet, unfortunately. So, like, if you use filters, I think there should also be the expectation, without saying that you use filters, there should also be the expectation that people are probably going to, unfortunately, and you're posting on the internet, unfortunately, people are not probably going to be the nicest person in the world to you, which sucks, right? And the last thing that I have to touch on is the recent Trisha drama. To cut a long story short, Trisha Paytas kind of described and covered recent drama regarding Mikayla, because Mikayla had discussed, and she's talked about this publicly now, so nobody, I'm not exposing anything, I'm not trying to get in her business. She's discussed publicly now that her husband has been struggling with addiction and had to go to rehab and had made some videos about it, and some people were basically saying like it's kind of weird that she's making videos about her husband being in rehab while heavily featuring her products, in the background in the video. Because she recently came out with this makeup/skincare brand, and like a lot of people have been really critical of like the ingredients and the prices of it, and like she's been very heavily like featuring it in all of her content. So Trish covered kind of the whole controversy, the whole thing surrounding it in her recent video, and Mikayla was not happy about that at all, basically saying that Trisha had been very rude to her. Trisha had somehow upset her.
Yo, my day just got ruined. Can I rant for like 2 seconds? Okay, I grew up a huge fan of Trisha Paytas. Like, huge fan, okay? I've been with Trisha since she started on YouTube, and I have tickets to see her show next week in Boston, and I'm like so fucking excited. I just saw her take on my situation with Cody on her podcast, and it crushed my soul. It crushed my idol mega fan soul. And now I'm like, do I go to the show? I don't think she likes me. My hat's beating out of my chest right now. I don't know what to do. Her take was obviously an opinion, everyone has them, but the take sucked, that they think that way. And yeah, ruined my day.
She then posted follow-up videos on her story responding to some
Videos. There seems to be a perspective that Oscar is the one who doesn't like me.
She cried in the video to a point because she was just very upset. And like this is a more broad criticism that Mikayla gets, is that people accuse her of weaponizing her emotions to kind of manipulate people. And like, honestly, after watching the podcast, I don't think Trisha or even Oscar, I don't think they were rude. I think they were just kind of talking about something that had happened on the internet, and her kind of using that to attack Trisha and kind of bring her audience against Trisha, I don't think was right. But also, I'm not going to go as far to say that she's weaponizing her emotions, but how do I say this? I do see like kind of a pattern of Mikayla being very public about her mental health and her audience kind of using that as a blanket shield to defend her from any sort of criticism, which I think is very harmful as well. Like, I don't want to give her like a 100% pass, but again, like having empathy for her, I think is important, because like emotions are not necessarily the truth of the situation, which I think is something that people forget. We can feel a certain way about something, and because we feel that does not necessarily mean that that's the truth. Like, again, someone could leave a negative comment or a constructive comment, and I could feel like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Like, dang, I feel really bad about it. But that doesn't mean that the person is bullying me. But that is really all I had for today as it pertains to like Mikayla, her whole controversy is just entering the world of art. There's a lot of things that I did not discuss today. I just wanted to bring that up because I really have been talking about a lot of beauty kind of creators. And like just to see the contrast between then and now is very interesting. In a lot of ways, I feel like Mikayla is kind of a product of her circumstances, that she saw this rising trend in the beauty community of being very brand heavy, being very rage baity, and kind of took advantage of that and kind of curated this personality to make it in the beauty space. I kind of think this sucks. Like, really, I miss when beauty content and just content in general was based on like, oh, I vibe with this person, oh, I like this person. Like, I'm tired of rage bait. I'm so sorry. Rage bait is so irritating. Yes, I fall for the bait sometimes. Yes, I made a whole TikTok about Kevin Leonardo raging about the fact that I can make a whole video about him, but like, yes, I was very upset about that. And like, it is kind of like this pitfall of like, we end up interacting with these people because we are upset or angry at them. And I think, low-key, if Mikayla upsets y'all that much, we gotta just clock out. We have to learn how to just tune out. Unfortunately, we may not be able to do that 100% of the time, but like, for your own peace, if you really like don't like Mikayla, just don't clock in, okay? I honestly also feel like one day we'll look back at this era and be like, why were we watching this? Like, what was happening? This is crazy. But that's all for me. Thank you so much for going down this Mikayla Nogueira rabbit hole with me, and let me know what you want to see next down below in the comments. Thank you so much again for 6K, and I'll see y'all all next time. Bye.